Welcome to Season 2 of Off Script with Sam Monk, Senior Leader of Equippers Church. Over the next few weeks, we'll be going off script with Sam and other leaders from his network across the globe. Enjoy today's podcast.
Welcome to Off Script. I'm Sam Monk, and we're talking about leadership lessons, what's worked, what hasn't, and everything in between. Yep. I'm joined here with Mark Collard. He's the leader of our church in the UK, and he's been part of Equippers for...
coming up 19 years on staff, and 21 years in Equippers. So
he doesn't look that old, but he does have 4 children. The ages of your children are?
Caleb's just turned 16, Josh is 14, Elsie is 12, and Ruby is 10.
And so, yeah, I'm really thankful for both Mark and Monica and the family, how they serve God, and what they're doing here in the UK, and the influence is amazing. And so I thought it would be great to just for him to unpack his leadership journey. Yeah. And we always love hearing from the lessons that people have learned.
Because they're normally painful, right?
Yeah. I think Sam Chan wrote a book, Leadership Pain, and let's face it, sometimes there is pain.
Oh, man. More than I would like.
More than you'd like. But that pain has produced something.
Yeah, it's produced something good.
So, we just want to open that up because we want to help others who are listening, people who are listening out there, so that we can learn. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you can avoid pain.
No.
You avoid pain. I often say you pick your pain.
Yeah, it's true. You pick your pain. You either you have the pain of staying the same, or you have the pain of changing.
Yeah,
you choose.
You choose.
Absolutely.
There's pain either way.
that sucks, doesn't it? But it is what it is.
It's the reality, and I think the earlier you learn to understand that, as you begin to just go with the flow, or you go with the flow of that. And so, let's talk about some of the pain that you've felt in leadership, and let's talk about some of the things that you've had to navigate and find God in the middle of.
Yeah, I've had some moments of significant pain, I suppose. I think, when you're a young leader, God gives you a vision. That's why you do what you do. If you haven't got a vision, I don't know why you're doing it. So God gives you a vision.
And we talked about that desire in an early episode.
We did. And so you're full of desire, you're full of vision. And, for me, very clearly remember the moment when I just had this kind of vision of the UK, and I saw it like the map of the UK, and I saw the cities lighting up.
Wow.
From top to bottom, like left to right, north of Scotland, all the way down to the south of England, across to Wales, over in Ireland, and I saw these cities light up. And as I saw them light up, I just felt like that was what God was saying. This is what I want to do through Equippers, and through my life in some way. And so, as a young leader, you think, I'm good to go.
Yeah. Let's go.
Let's do it. Like, what's not to stop me? And then very quickly you realize, oh, wow, there is a whole journey that God has to take you on.
Yeah.
And so I think the pain of delay is probably one of the, for me personally, one of the hardest pains that I had to learn to deal with was you can see something here, but really it is the goodness of God who knows you are nowhere near ready to handle what that comes with. And so he takes you on a journey here. And so the pain of seeing something in your heart, but the delay in the outworking of it can be incredibly painful.
Yeah, and I think God in his mercy and his love sometimes holds us back.
Yeah.
Because we think we're ready.
Yeah, of course.
I'm ready I'm ready.
Yeah, it was stupid.
But I like, even when it comes to the promised land with the Israelites, the Bible talks about in Deuteronomy that they possessed it little by little.
That's right. Bit by bit,
because the beasts of the field were too numerous for them. And I feel like sometimes, we want to occupy spaces that we couldn't maintain.
Yeah.
I often say people want to live in neighborhoods that they can't afford to maintain.
Right.
they couldn't even pay the power bill. They can't look after a bedroom, but they want to live in a mansion.
Yeah.
And I think there's that growing and development that needs to take place. And it's almost like God sometimes, goes, hey, right now, if I gave that to you, I want to give it to you.
Yeah.
Because God's not a holdout, but he's waiting for us to grow the capacity to be able to handle what he wants to release.
Yeah, definitely. So the pain of delay, it would be a significant pain. One of the other pains that I have experienced is the pain of embarrassment.
Oh wow!
So like I think in the season of early ministry, when things weren't going quite as well as I would have liked them to have gone, and then actually that season coming to an end, and it was right that the season of leading the church in London City at the time came to an end. There was an element of embarrassment.
Yeah.
And I remember not wanting to really talk about that journey, not wanting to share about it, not wanting to think about it, to be honest. Just like, what's next?
Yeah.
Let's just go do something like better. Yeah. And I heard Joyce Meyer say one day, you've got to make peace with your past or peace with your pain.
That's great.
And it was a real revelation moment. And I remember preaching about it one day and in front of the group of people that I had led for a period of time, and just saying to them, there was a while where I felt embarrassed about what happened, but I've made peace with it now.
Yeah.
I recognize it's part of my journey. It's helped form me who I am. It was painful at the time, but I had to make a decision to say I'm no longer embarrassed about that part of the journey. That's how it happened. And I'll never change it. So there's no point in being embarrassed about it. But it was definitely painful, man. That was hard.
Yeah, when things don't go the way you thought they'd go.
Yeah.
Or and naturally we're making faith declarations as well. Mm-hmm. And then what we've spoken, our reality is removed from that.
Yes.
It can be like, it can get you on the inside.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm sure we've all run events and that we thought going to be massive and huge. I need to have a few people show up, and it's like, that sick feeling in your stomach. I don't know a leader who hasn't experienced that on some level. It's just like,
I think it's a qualifier for leadership. If you haven't run an event that is absolutely tanked, I'm not sure you've yet qualified as a leader. I have one event in mind. We were on a university campus, and we were running a young adult ministry. And man, we gave everything, right? And we had the band there, and we'd printed these little flyers. We had printed flyers, but we'd also printed like little frisbees. And it had the name of the ministry on it and the website, and we had like hundreds of these, probably thousands, I don't know. And like we all went out, we went for it. And this is cringe, man. I remember no one came.
Wow.
Like not even one. And man, that was a sick feeling in the gut of my tummy. I remember that one. Well.
Especially if you spent money and you've rallied team and I think there's numerous occasions. I like this saying or this equation: mistakes plus time equals humor.
That's totally true.
It's like
because it wasn't funny at the time.
No, it needs you need time before it actually becomes funny.
Yeah, that's right.
But it helps me in the time of that feeling to go, hey, I just need to give a bit of time, and I'll be laughing about this at some stage. And there's many events from youth, from initiatives. So I was going, what was I thinking doing that? And we didn't get the result. It didn't work.
No.
But yet God was using that somehow to form something in me in terms of what I'm putting my dependence and trust in.
Absolutely.
And so, that's, tell us a little bit about how God used some of those failures, can I put it that, or those things to form your leadership.
I mean, I think there's a number of things that happen through stuff like that. On a very basic level, I think as a younger leader, like most younger leaders, I had pride, and I thought, I'm going to do it and I'm going to make it happen. And you probably know what it's like as a younger leader. Sometimes as a younger leader, you have more mature people who recognize the gift and the call on your life, and they speak positively about it. And actually, we sometimes take that to our heads.
Yeah.
And so I can definitely recognize seasons where it's like, the truth was that there was pride, and it's like, well, God's like, well, I'm not going to entrust anything great to you while you think it's all you. So actually, he does expose us to our vulnerabilities and say, hey, you're really not that great by yourself.
Yeah.
But then equally, I think he uses those opportunities to say he's a loving God and his arms are open. And when we come to him and say, man, what happened? He's so, I've just always found God to be so kind. Like he's never harsh, and you fail in a moment like that, but actually you can bring it to him and he just gently starts to lead you forward and put hope back in your heart again, and resilience and bounce back and all those things. And
yeah, I think that's a big thing in leadership. And you talked about operating from that spirit of rest, and where you get to a place where you go, I'm going to work hard, but I'm going to leave the results to you.
Yep.
Like I think there's a big thing in coming to that place of surrender again.
Oh man, yeah.
Where you go, unless God builds a house, we're laboring in vain. And I thought over many years, sometimes I'm thinking I'm building the house.
Yeah.
But I've found whatever you build, you have to protect. But if God builds it, the promise of Psalm 127 is he protects it as well.
Yeah. And
just coming to that place of rest in yourself that I can't make this happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, the children of Israel, if you think about it, like there was a fight for rest.
Yeah.
Like the land, in fact, Hebrews talks about the land of rest that was prepared for them and for us. And so for them, it was a physical land. For us, there is a place of living as a Christian, as a human being, as a leader of rest. But I've discovered there's a fight to get into the place of rest.
Yeah, that's a great thought.
Because there's a lot of people, there's a lot of things trying to take you out of it. Worry, fear, people's opinions. I think one of the things, one of the pain points I've had to deal with is I didn't think I was a people pleaser, but then I've learned actually sometimes I've cared too much about the opinions of other people and other leaders.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely a fight to get into the place of the rest. And sometimes there's a fight to stay there. But man, when you're there, what a great place to lead from. What a great place to do life from when you're actually rested.
That's so good. Yeah, that's so good because, our greatest fight is the fight of faith, is just that fight to believe.
It's the only fight, really.
Yeah. It's just that belief. I like that thought of rest, and there's a law called the law of reverse effort. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before. It's when you expend a whole lot of energy, but you get limited results.
Right.
But then on the other hand, there's times where you don't expend as much energy, but you get greater results.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like you're in a crowd and you see somebody you know really well, but you can't think of their name. Mm-hmm. And the harder you try and think of their name, the less likely.
Yeah, for sure.
And that can be awkward as a pastor because, sometimes you go, I know you, I know you so well, but yeah, and you don't want to go, what's your name? Because they're going, I thought they valued me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
but I think everybody's been in that place. Yeah. But it's almost like the harder you try, the less likely you are. And then you go home that night, you relax on the couch, and then their name comes into your mind.
That's it.
It's like, and people would say it's because the information you need is actually stored in your subconscious. And while your conscious mind is actually trying to think of the name, your subconscious actually checks out.
Wow.
And says, I'll let them do it. It's like in an exam. You ever been in an exam and you know the answer and you go, I know this, but you can't think of it?
For sure.
And because the information is stored somewhere else. And I think, even when it comes to sport, when it comes to, many different things, we actually perform better when we're relaxed.
Yeah.
And in that place of rest and ease. It's not to say we don't work hard, but there's not that element of striving. And I feel like if I'm striving for something, that's when, sometimes it's like I'm further away
from where I want to be.
From where I want to be. Yeah, you found that?
Oh, for sure. I mean, actually, we just had an amazing Sunday, and but we've been on holiday for a couple of weeks, and so you think to yourself, "I've been on holiday for a couple of weeks, and so therefore you got to come in and work something up or make something happen." But actually, because we were relaxed because we've been on holiday, we kind of came in onto Sunday, and it was like, oh man, like God just showed up in this most amazing way. But it's amazing that it happened. It was actually like a bank holiday weekend, the end of summer, like expectation could be pretty low. But actually, because I think we were relaxed, it was just like God turned up. Yeah. And I can't think of like how many times I've tried to work something up, make something happen, push something, and it's like you sit down and you feel exhausted and you feel frustrated. But when you relax, whether it's in your preaching or in your leading, just doing life, it's like the favor of God seems to flow more freely, would be maybe one way of putting it. You just seem to feel the ease of God with you and what you do.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to put a proviso on that. Being relaxed is not being lazy.
No, yeah, for sure. Yeah, no.
Yeah, but it's being relaxed in who you are, who God's called you to be. It's being relaxed in your gift, but relaxed, or not being relaxed in the fact that in your preparation as well. Yeah, that you have what you need.
Yes.
For the moment that you need it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like something that you've said many occasions is actually we have what we need for today to do the will of God.
Yeah.
And that's helped me many times, because there's many times I'm striving here to make something happen, but to go, no, actually by faith right now, I have everything I need to do what I'm called to do. And then it puts you at rest. Yeah. So I think rest is definitely not lazy. Rest is a place of faith in knowing that God is present.
Great.
He loves his church more than we do.
Yeah,
he wants people.
That's a big thing to remember.
Yeah, that relaxes me. Like when I come in on a Sunday or whatever into a busy season, to be able to go, God is more interested in this season than I am. I can go, whew.
Yeah,
weight off.
I think that's a big thing. Is God's for this.
Yeah, big time.
God's for his church. He's backing this. And he's more interested in it than I am. I found that very helpful over many years.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, we were talking about leadership pain, weren't we? Like pain moments in our journey. One of the other pain things I've had to learn to deal with is in the whole area of ambiguity.
Yeah.
Like when things are not here, they're not at A anymore, but they're not at B either. They're somewhere in between. And I think as a younger leader...
They're at Z.
Yeah. They're like, I don't know where they are. But they're not where I want them to be. I think, again, as a younger leader, striving to lock it in, have it all ordered, have it all organized. I think, 20 years later, getting to know God better, I'm becoming more comfortable in seasons of ambiguity where I know the past is the past and I know we're not yet where we want to be.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite sure what's happening, but I'm trusting God that it's going to be okay. And that can be I think ambiguity can be very painful for people if they don't know how to handle it and walk through it.
Especially, there's a control freak that lives on the inside of each and every one of us. We can appear calm and relaxed on the outside, but there's this little mini-me on the inside which wants certainty, which wants, the details, but I think of, when it comes to faith, and like Abraham, father of faith, the Bible says, and I take heart in this because some leaders, give off the illusion that they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
But I've found it's an illusion.
Yeah, for sure.
It's an illusion, especially when it comes to this faith walk. Because, I take heart that Abraham left his country, left his father's house. He knew he had an inheritance, but he left not knowing where he was going.
Amazing.
That's what Hebrews tells us.
Yes.
And, there's times where I'm going, I don't know where I'm going. I know we've got an inheritance over here.
Yeah.
And, the leader who tells everyone they know where they're going, I think sometimes it's just making
it up.
Making it up. You know you've got an inheritance.
Yeah.
He knew he was going to be the father of many nations.
Yeah.
But he had to go on the journey of trusting God with every step.
Yes.
And I just love the thought that the more mature you are as a believer, you can actually handle mystery.
Yes.
Immaturity requires definition of everything.
Yes.
And I think, people can even come into teams and they want everything defined.
Yeah.
I want my role defined. I often say to our team, we're flexible when it comes to position. We're flexible. We've got clarity of vision. We know where our end goal is.
Sure.
We've got that, but we can be flexible in position. People want their position sometimes too defined, and it's simply because they're leading from position rather than actually from an authentic place of vision. And so, that ambiguity thing I witness with. I witness with big time, because there's a lot of, even in my world right now, there's a lot of ambiguity.
Yeah.
And I challenge to say, in leadership, there's always loose ends.
Yeah, there is. And if we try to tie them down, I think we're shooting ourselves in the foot. You talked about mystery. You either hate mystery or you can learn to love mystery.
Yeah.
And I think there's actually something quite beautiful about what God does in mystery.
Come on.
I think it draws us closer to Him. He bit by bit reveals what He's doing. He brings, and when the pieces come together, it's just so much better than we could have done it ourselves. And last couple of episodes, we've talked about some things we've done in this part of the world in Europe where we couldn't have made it happen ourselves. And there was mystery around it. There was uncertainty, but because we submitted to what we felt God was doing, even though the pieces weren't there, I think the outcome is so much better when we go through a season of ambiguity than when it's like, we know where we're going. As you say, some leaders are like, this is where we're going. This is what it looks like. This is how we're going to get here. And this is how long it's going to take.
Yeah.
I just got to say that's never been my experience.
Well, I find when you go to a movie, good movies, when you don't know how it's all going to come together.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
If it's predictable, you tune out.
That's right.
And I think many, the world has tuned out of many Christians' life because it's so predictable.
Wow.
The reason why people hang in right to the end is because, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
And the plot all comes together in the end. He works all things together for his good. And they're the good movies. They're the movies that in the end people go, wow, that was incredible. And I think God does that with our life to get the attention of the world around us and to say, hey, they're not that good, but they do serve somebody who is good. And so, if you're a leader out there, I really challenge you, to embrace ambiguity and to keep your trust firmly in Jesus. He is working things for your good. Well, this is Off Script. I'm Sam Mung. I've been joined with Mark Collard, and he's been a blessing. If this has helped in any way, please do share, like, and we'd love to see you again on the next episode of Off Script.
Thanks for listening to Off Script with Sam Monk. If you found this podcast helpful, make sure you pass it on. We love your feedback, so drop us a line about what topics you'd like to hear about on Off Script with Sam Monk.